I think that the best way I can put this, and I'll just always refer to someone smarter than me, but Pascal, and you may have heard this one before, but in the Pensius said that, and I'm paraphrasing, but the greatest fault of mankind is the inability to sit quietly in a room alone. And this is this is part of the human condition. It's just it's never enough. And is there something wrong with that? I'm not sure. I'm the kind of person, I get involved in a project and I'll lose my mind if I can't finish it, and I want to make sure it all gets done. And then I finish the project and I'm like, and there's this moment of perch and I get to relax. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, but what if I did this?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really explain that. I can't explain why it is that at least my mind works that way. And I think a lot of people are always kind of constantly reaching and craving greater advancement, greater efficiency. But it is interesting to kind of look back as an ad hoc assumption and say, this just seems to be the way people are. And in my philosophy, I'm very cautious. I'll often use words like, in many cases, this seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because the second you draw a hard, fast line, there's a good way to be wrong about
Mm-hmm.
something. So,
And people, once you drop the line, people are going to look for ways to point that out.
yeah. And, you always have to assume, how are people going to object to my view? And if I can anticipate objections, that often brings me to a point where I can say, well, here's what the record shows. This doesn't necessarily imply how things are going to happen in the future, but we can make pretty safe assumptions about the ways that we might, and this is the important part, think about how we should do things in the future with technology. Because in the words of the famous philosopher Jeff Goldblum, we should think less about what we can do and more about what we should do. Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Yeah. So good quote. Good quote. Yeah, I feel like that's not a lot of people are listening to that, and especially large companies that are like, I was just listening to something the other day that was, so many companies are hell bent on making a profit that the products they're actually delivering are making. It's like they're making a profit, but they're making people's quality of life worse.
Mm.
And so it's one of those things that, you're giving people access to many things, but you're also lessening the quality of their lives. You're making the quality of lives good in one way, but bad in another.
Yeah. And you're completely disparaging the quality of life for people on the manufacturing lines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for people overseas where they don't have as good regulation laws as we do.
Right.
It seems that a lot of families get screwed over for sure. Yeah, I had also